Hey guys, Pantastic J here, and welcome back to our Zubo Challenge playthrough. For those of you who are new to this series, welcome. I would want to let you know you are coming at the middle of the playthrough, so please go back and watch part 1 so you won't be confused on the story and gameplay, unless that's what you want to be watching this video. For those of you who have seen the first part, thank you so much for your support on the first video. I had so much fun making it. And seeing it do as well as it did, even though it seemed small to others, was amazing. And I'm so glad you've decided to come back and watch the next part. I will say I wrote this script before my channel just magically blew up with my Picrew Kingdom videos. So if you are coming from there, I hope you stick around and watch these videos too, as they are different, but also yet again, thank you all for the support I've gotten. It's been amazing. Before we get into gameplay though, I do want to verbally give credit to iwose for creating the Picrew I used to make these amazing PNGs. I recorded my audio for the first video before I made these, although I was able to give credit on screen and in the description, which will still be there. I was not able to verbally give credit, which I feel like is very needed as their Picrew is amazing. So please go check out the Picrew and iwose, support them however you can. I will have links in the description. So, with all that out of the way, let's continue our adventure in the land of Zubo. So where we left off in the last video, we had just defeated Icy Head and learned of Big Head, who was in charge of all the heads and is very upset at us. So after watching Team Pop's gig, we get on their ship to go to Big Head, but end up crashing and end up in Gold Rush Gutch. And here we are in the wild, wild west. Heading into town, we meet Sheriff Star, who informs us that we are trespassing before being told what we've done and asking us to be his deputy. Before we can become the deputy though, we have to pass a test of shooting cans to clean up the area. Now that we are deputy, Sheriff Star tells us he's going to his office to check on his prisoner, and we go ahead and follow. In the sheriff's office, we are told that Goldie and a good amount of Team Wild West have gone missing, and gives us a task of finding Goldie from the quarry. We then go talk to the prisoner, Littlebeard, who Star wrongfully claims to be the one who stole the wanted posters, and gives us the task of going to find and return them so he can be set free. Now it's off to the quarry, and of course, fights against Zubos ensue. We also learn how to blow things up using the TNT and fire around, which is really fun to do, and helps us get to places that have been blocked off by boulders. In one of the chests, we find a wanted poster for a Zubo version of Goldie, and there's only 4 left to find. And before long, the villain of the section shows himself. This head is not Eepy, but is very icy, and wants to freeze the land. It's time for our first boss fight. In this fight, we are against Sheriff Star, Goldie, and Scully. We start by having Robo use Slam Dunk twice due to a lucky streak. In our next turn, we have Pinky use Overload, knocking out Goldie. After being weakened by Scully, we have Pinky go for Overload again, which knocks out Scully. With the Zubos being able to attack, Sheriff Star uses Quick Draw and targets Robo, which knocks him out. Pinky follows this with Rock Out, which finishes off the battle, knocking off Sheriff Star and giving us the win. From this battle, we get a scroll that, like always, will be given to Pinky. After exploding some more TNT, we remove the boulders that were blocking Goldie, who then heads back to town. And as we could not go any further due to minecarts, we end up heading back as well. On our way back, we open a chest that contains the second wanted poster, this one being for Zubbo Sheriff Star, and for a Zubbo fight we get the third, which is for Zubbo Morning Sky. Back in town, Sheriff Star congratulates us on completing the task for telling us where he suspects Roundup has gone and gives us our next mission, while also giving us a challenge that we of course go to complete. In the office, we go ahead and place back the posters we've gotten back so far before heading to do the challenge. This challenge is to get rid of the 6 cans by shooting them quicker than 20 seconds. Similar to the whack-a-mole minigame that Dombey had for us in the last video, this is also something that gave me so much challenge in the previous playthroughs that I was somehow able to complete first try here. We also get the option to add Sheriff Star onto our team. We take our usual option of saying no. Before heading to get Roundup, we meet back up with Roswell, who has found the cows in town, and we finally get to decline him from joining our team. I honestly remember having to complete a minigame with these cows who walk Roswell like this, so I may have missed something entirely during the recording. I'll have to go back when I'm done with the game to get it. We then meet Can in the Gold Rush Saloon, where she has us play a few games, like shooting cans and memory, before wanting to join us. The saloon's a good place to visit whenever we can, due to it being one of the locations of the bed, as well as a shop. Now, before we move on from the shop, you might have noticed there's a new level of present. I decided that right now I did not want to deal with presents again, as although they do have their benefits, right now I feel like experience is more important. If I do end up giving them from Battle Boat, I would gladly use them. It's also important to mention that outside of taking up less bag space, The higher levels of experience keep the same experience to cost ratio of 1:1, so I have no incentive to save it for a book later when I can buy scrolls now. Since I do have 500 coins, but I do go ahead and buy 1 book and 2 scrolls that are given to Pinky. We then start the journey over to Rescue Roundup, where we meet up with Goldie and cause some more explosions. Before seeing the Icy Head has turned part of a desert into an ice rink, we then find the 4th wanted poster for Zubo Can, and we have another fight with Icy Head. This battle we are against Roundup, Can, and Morning Sky. We start with Rising using Pile Drive, followed by Karate Kick the following turn. We then have Pinky use Overload, followed by Patty Cake the following turn, going for Overload the next turn. Pinky knocks out all of the Zubos, giving us the win. We then find Roundup, who while spotting Icy Head's tower, which is on a river, got frozen into a block of ice. To melt him, we use a fire we made a good distance away in barrels to put up a fire near him. Now, it is around this point where I start experiencing a small problem when it comes to inventory space. From a lot of Zumbo fights, I have been getting first level gifts that I got in the first part of the series. Since I've already given Pinky, Rising, and Robo gifts, I was okay with. There's no need for me to be having these gifts, I will end up just giving them a teddy bear again. Because of this, I decided to bring back Hunchy to act as a gift eater, so I would have the inventory space for scrolls and food, because knowing me, if I did, I would be left with inventory full of gifts, with no food and a dead party. We then make our way to the pirate zone, which our Zubos make sure to point out to us, and it's time to make our way towards the ship. On the way, we find an area blocked off by Plunder, who is following the captain's orders, who tells us not to question these orders. I stopped at the shop at the boardwalk to buy some more scrolls for Pinky. Then we are on the pirate ship, or as it's more properly called, the Plucky Pearl. Goalie meets us and tells us that we are not allowed unless we are a real pirate. To prove that we are a pirate, we have to complete a quiz, which not only involves answering pirate trivia, but also our attention to detail. We also get asked a math question, but no math is involved in the true answer, because all gold goes to the pirates, of course. Lastly, we are given the task of cleaning up the ship, as we are declared pirates. After cleaning, we are told we can go visit Captain Columbus and his quarters in the ship. But before we can go, we are asked to do Scully a favor by going to get our sword. Unlike Scully, the captain does not see us as a pirate for answering questions and cleaning the ship, who then turns around and asks us another question before sending us to go get some of his treasure that is buried at Treasure Beach, where Plunder is walking our way earlier. The captain gives us a list of items that we need to bring back, and a shovel to show Plunder to allow us to enter. Unlike one of the answers to the question that Scully asked earlier, we are told that any other treasure we find is ours to keep. Before we head out though, we get Scully's sword and return it to her. Meeting back up with Plunder, he asks us to clear up the Zubos while we get the treasure for the captain. So we have some fights against the Zubos to clear him out, and give the captain's telescope, globe, and compass. Because of the Zubos not being there, Plunder is able to stop guarding Treasure Beach. And after finding more scrolls, we make it back onto the ship, where the captain promotes us and informs us of their plans to get to Icy Head's tower. For this plan, we need to finish getting the posters and get Little Beer to fire the cannon. These cannons will blast through the ice block. To fire the cannons, so we need to get cannonballs from Ahab, who has been sent to Skull Island. The captain gives us a key to head to North Beach. Before we can get to North Beach, though, Icy Head taunts that he has frozen the water, and we have another fight. In this fight, we are against Columbus, Roundup, and Plunder. We started having Robo use Slam Dunk, and with a lucky streak are able to do so twice in a row. On our next turn, we have Pinky use Overload, and then again on the turn after, which knocks out all the Zubos and gives us the win. Robo then spots the Zubo, who was trapped in ice, which turns out to be Panama. We end up using what I can assume to be similar to a lighthouse or a large flashlight. I'm not sure. Whatever they are, we use the 3 of them and point the light towards them. After seeing that he'll get back at Icy Head, who froze him, before he runs off, stating that there is treasure to find. We once again meet up with said Icy Head, who has our Zubos fight against Medusa, Sheriff Star, and 4. Started out having Pinky use Patty Cake, followed by a Slam Dunk from Robo the following turn. Now having 3 Power Pills, our next turn has Pinky use Overload, and the same the next, which knocks out the other Zubos and gives us the win. At Skull Island, we meet back up with Panama. He tells us about old manuscript, where he's getting his information from. The script says, "Only the worthy will find my treasure, for they must walk as light as a feather. The treasure you seek is in my eye. To reach your goal, just make me cry." To get the treasure, we have to dig at the dig spots to make the skull that makes the shape of the island cry. We're going to lever from one spot, and from the other a place to put the lever in. After placing and pulling said lever, the path appears to one of the island's eyes. Walking onto the island, the chest appears that contains the key to the heavens, which Panama says is his life goal to go to. Sadly, this goal is not aligned with our goals, so this would not be happening. Rising then points out that despite being at Skull Island, we have not seen Ahab anywhere. But we decided to continue moving on to Mount Legend to see if we can find out where he is. After going for the first gate using the keys, we meet Klops, who has locked himself out. We are once again face to face with timed gates. Unlike the ones in the maze, we have to turn statues in order to open the door, each gate adding an extra statue that needs to be turned in order to open it, leading to more trouble in the maze as each moves independently of each other. Because things are not difficult enough, for a third gate, the third statue is off to the left, making it even harder to get through the gate. Once we make it past all the gates to the Sky Tower, Icy Head is ready to meet us for a battle. This battle we are against Spore, Klops, and Medusa. The battle begins with us having Pinky use Patty Cake. The next turn we have Robo use Slam Dunk and we get a Lucky Streak, which we use to have Pinky use Overload. We do the same for next turn, which knocks out 4 and Klops. After Medusa stuns Robo, we have Pinky go for Salsa Slap, which knocks out Medusa. Heading to the left, we see that Neptune has been turned into stone. Heading to the right, we make the two halves of the column match to open the gate. Following the path, we meet up with Medusa, who warns us not to look at her, due to her not having her sunglasses. Turns out, while she was trying to talk to Neptune, a Zombo took them and went into the labyrinth. To open the labyrinth, Medusa tells us we have to ignite the fires outside the door. She leads us to a chest that has a handle that we use to activate Forest Lightning Generator, which causes one of the fires to be lit. We head back to the labyrinth entrance to light the rest of the fires before entering the labyrinth. Honestly, most of the zone is really annoying with the gates outside, and here we have moving spikes that are very hard to get past, and unlike the overworld are 2D, meaning sometimes they're almost impossible to see depending on the camera angle. After traveling through the labyrinth, we find Minotaur, who according to Pinky has gone mad from the loneliness of being in the labyrinth. Pinky then says that if we beat him up, it might get him back to normal. Ben says the same thing to us, which in universe is probably so silly, but it honestly makes for a unique fight. Although I may not be remembering the rest of the game, at least it's the only time we're not fighting a Zombo, so it does add some variety. So our fight against Minotaur begins with us having Robo use Slam Dunk for 2 turns. Following that, Minotaur gets a Lucky Streak, something that will continue to get more and more common as the game continues. And the next turn we have Robo use Rough Justice, giving us a stun, which we follow with Spin Stun, which finally beats some sense in the Minotaur. Minotaur tells us that he saw a Zombo who had them, so ended up taking them himself due to how stylish they were. He gives us back the glasses, and we exit the labyrinth, having to deal with the spikes again, and make our way back to Medusa. After returning them, Medusa says that it's now time to fix Neptune, and as we head back to where his stone statue is, he meets us and tells us that his pet clam has swallowed another Zubo and is refusing to open her mouth. We make our way over to Clammy, where we have to tickle her to get her to open her mouth, because she continues to refuse. Turns out Ahab was the Zubo that Clammy ate, who then rushes back to the ship, and Neptune declares us friends. Going to where Neptune was, we meet back up with Medusa, who shows off her new look, then we start to make our way back to Wild West Zone through the right path. On our way, we find a shop where we find more books and scrolls for Pinky. Once we turn to the upper quarry, Icy Head is waiting there to meet us for another battle, this time against Morning Sky, Goldie, and Sheriff Star. We start our first turn with Robo using Slam Dunk, with him doing the same move again after the next turn. Following that, Pinky uses Overload, which ends up knocking out Goldie. After an attack from Morning Sky, Pinky uses Overload again, which knocks out the other 2 Zombos for a win. After a battle with some fodder, Pinky gets her second move skill upgrade, something that although I do remember having with my Zubos in other playthroughs, doesn't mean using newer Zubos. By this time of playthrough and how high Pinky levels is, I always was getting concerned on it if it even existed, but it's going to make my execution of moves even harder than it was before. Exiting the quarry, we head into Eagle Camp, where Pinky wants to check for Morning Sky, who was in one of the tents after a Zombo stole her Book of Knowledge. We go after a Zombos to get it back. Fighting the first Zombo we come across does not give us the Book of Knowledge, but instead gives us the last one post we need to free Littlebeard, this one being for Zombo Roundup. The second Zombo we see does end up giving us the book, and we head back to return to Morning Sky. Exiting the Eagle Camp, we reach Gold Rush Gulch again. We enter the Sheriff Star's office to return the last poster for Littlebeard, who has escaped on his own, which means us fighting all of these posters was kinda worthless. Unless you have a payment we get replaced in, which is decent, I guess. When we leave, Pinky says it's likely they went back to a Plucky Pearl and we should head back there and maybe catch up with him along the way. Before that, I go into the saloon where I use the badge to heal up the team, as well as get another book and scroll for Pinky, and catch up with Littlebeard we do, as he, like other Zubos before him, has been turned into an ice cube. So much around it, we use the barrels and fire around him to make the ice melt. Littlebeard then flaunts how there is no Joe back can hold him, for continuing to guide us back to Plucky Pearl. On the way back, Robo gets his second move skill upgrade. For some reason, when we reach the Pirate Zone again, we get the same cutscene from when we first arrived here, which is strange, but after begging the scroll, we are back on the Plucky Pearl, where Columbus explains that he is not a pirate at heart, but is an explorer. Now that we're back, we get the honor to light the cannons to fire them and break the ice. And it's time to head to the tower. On the way there, we meet up with Thor. He wants to help us but can't. And we have the outside of tower with Icy Head, something I totally didn't forget about with Icy Head. In this battle, we're up against Robo, Tim Tom, and U-Bot. We start by having Robo use Slam Dunk, and the next turn having Pinky use Patty Cake to help gain power pills. The next turn we have Pinky go for Overload, before she gets stunned by Robo. We have our Robo then go for Slam Dunk, which knocks out the other Robo, followed by Never Overload from Pinky the following turn, which gives us the win. At the shop, we buy some more scrolls from Pinky and then make our way into the tower. Honestly, like last time, the fodder is not too interesting to talk about. Only interesting thing here is how, unlike earlier, I'm very low on food. Sometimes, meaning that not all of my Zubos are at full health. Now, at the top floor, it's time for the final battles. First battle has us going against Klops, Minotaur, and Neptune. We start with Robo using Slam Dunk with Rising as a Pile Drive the following turn. Pinky then goes for Overload, which knocks out Minotaur. Pinky gets stunned by Neptune, causing our next attack to be Rising using Pile Drive, again knocking out Neptune. But we get a lucky streak, which means Pinky is still stunned. It's not a big deal due to only one Zombo being left, but honestly, the combination of lucky streaks and any effect that causes Zubo or Zombo to be inactive for a turn is very weird and it makes no sense. Here, although we technically have done a move, Pinky is still stunned, which makes sense as I would assume that this is the same turn. This becomes a problem when it's an enemy you stun, but you get a lucky streak. Despite technically being the same turn in combat, your stun goes away after your lucky streak move, when it in fact should stay if we keep the stun if we get a streak on turn where the Zubo is stunned. Doesn't really match up and make too much sense, and it makes strategy way harder when it comes to stun. Anyways, with only one Zombo left, we have Robo go for Spin Stun, which knocks out Klops and gives us the first win. After finding Icy's new location, our next battle is against Ace, Clutch, and Snappy. We start by having Pinky use Patty Cake. In the next turn, we have Robo use Slam Dunk. 2 turns of Overload from Pinky gives us the second win by knocking out all of the Zombos. Unlike Icy Head, Icy has not 2, but 3 battles. And honestly, looks a lot better than Eevee and Freebie. In this last battle, we are against Whoosh, Chill, and Jet. We start with a Patty Cake from Pinky, and after the Zombos get a lucky streak, we have Robo go for Slam Dunk before he gets stunned by Chill. We then have Pinky go for Overload before she gets stunned by the Zombos. We get a lucky streak, which luckily, as I said earlier, unstuns Pinky for Never Overload, that knocks out the Zombos and gives us the win. Honestly, the only reason that lucky streak counting as a turn is useful. Icy Head is smart enough not to tell on himself, but dumb enough to get so hot with rage over being defeated that he melts. Big Head sees this and says he'll get us for this. We then get the wheel to a Plucky Pearl and meet Chill, who has been set free from Icy Head, who was using him for his powers. Chili is able to reprogram a teleport to bring us straight to the ship, so we can head to get Big Head. Before we depart, I go ahead and use the bed of the ship to heal up the team, unsure that I'm able to do so once I confirm I'm ready to depart. To depart, I have to set the wheel I got from the tower onto the Plucky Pearl, then we're off to Big Head at the core. Psych! Turns out somehow the ocean has disappeared around the core, so you have to find somewhere else to land. That place is Super Island, where Explorer Columbus says that Team Hero will know what to do, so we land there for adventure will be continued at a later time. Honestly, the section of the game is definitely a bit of a downgrade when compared to the first. I think the main issue here comes how linear, or maybe circular is a better word, this is when compared to the previous area. It really becomes apparent where, unlike previously, where I was able to have a decently cool flow of music being changed to make a decently cool background music in my previous video that I even listened to after the video was uploaded. And as I was putting this into my script, I listened to myself. Here, each zone gets its lone section of music, with Team Legends music only being present once, only because you don't follow the loop back to there at the end of a section. I also found it weird that with Littlebeard, the last poster is so spread out gameplay-wise from the first ones, to a point where I almost wanted to put a joke like, I hope you remembered those, and for all of that to be for nothing, as when we come back, he's already escaped. It does consider new story-wise when we go back, but honestly, it's not too much. I know what you can say, technically the beginning of the first area was linear and a place we never go back to the story. But I want to restate that that's a tutorial area, where it does make sense to be more linear due to this, and right after we go to an area the map's more open and we travel between places often. Now all this is not to say I absolutely hate this section of the game, because it's not true at all. This is still a pretty good section. I honestly love the pirate and cowboy theme, especially with the clashing that comes from Lover being accused of stealing the wanted posters in the first place. Although it does happen both seems the central area, but not due to how the area is circular, leaving a Team Legend to feel like an oddball even more. But not story-wise where it truly feels left out. I guess theme-wise, this would feel like saying because horror and fantasy are based off fictional characters and creatures, that Team Pop does not fit in, as well as having a pop stage be a main connecting point to the rest of the zones. I guess on that, as well as being the ending moving zone for next area. The next video is going to be the last video of the series. Well, hopefully this time I won't procrastinate for almost 3 weeks on writing the script. So I'll see you guys then when we finish off the story. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!